Hi there, it's me, Holly. So for the first few videos, I'll probably introduce myself a few times as Holly, so you can remember my name, just because it's a new channel and you're new to my channel. I have introduced myself in the first video, but I'll keep telling you more and more about my story as we go. In this video, as promised, we were going to talk about your past is a gift. That's up there. And just so you can see it a little bit closer, that's what it looks like up close. The idea of the cover was that this box represented the past, and when you open the box, when you look inside and you allow it to give you its gift, there's always going to be love there. So the beautiful thing about this book, Your Past is a Gift, is that it is a guide, it's a process, it's a workbook, if you like. I'm trying to think of the best word for you. Now, as you go through this book, it's all the events that I could remember that I felt were significant to share in this book. And I show you exactly how to do the process with my own experiences. So I go through the first 5 years of my life. So we do 5-year chunks. The first 5, then 5 to 10, then 10 to 15, 15 to 20. And I think I got as far as, I'm trying to think now, maybe 40? Probably 40. Because at the time I would have been somewhere between 40 and 45, or maybe 45 was the last one I did. So what happens is from the 0 to 5, I walk you through all the experiences that I can remember. For some reason, and I honestly believe I was meant to write this book, I have such a vivid memory, even of those first 5 years. It's incredible how much I could remember. I was really surprised. But what's important for you to take away from this book is that the things I gained from doing this process was, number one, forgiveness. I was able to forgive on such a deep level at that point without other people having to say sorry. I didn't need them to say sorry or to say anything. So through that beautiful process of that first book, I was able to see their pain. I was able to see how they got to where they were when I arrived between 0 and 5. You know, all the pain that they were already holding inside of them. So that's the first thing you take away from the book. You are able to see life through the eyes of your parents or your guardians or whoever raised you. And it's very important to be able to do that, because that's the first step to, firstly, having compassion, but it's the first step to being able to forgive, is to take yourself outside of this victim position that we're in. When we're looking at them and we're in pain, we are the victims of what they have done to us. And so this book moves you away from being in that position and starting to look at the world from their eyes, to see what they've been through before you even arrived into the world. Okay, that's step one. Being able to see the world through their eyes, having compassion for them. And in that process, you're able to start the forgiveness process. Maybe by the end of the book, you're not quite there yet, but something happens in this book that you start to let go of certain things, that you're more open to being able to forgive. Even if you're not quite there by the end of the book, there's an opening that happens with this beautiful book. So the first one is to be able to forgive, to create that opening for forgiveness. The second beautiful thing that happens with this book is that you get to look at your life, you get to look at yourself, you know, because everything out there is always asking you to focus on things that are outside of you. And in doing that, our whole life just goes on that treadmill, you know, repeating the cycle over and over and over of the same, but nothing ever changes, because in order for anything to change out there, it needs to change in here. And the second thing you gain from this beautiful book, to me, all of these books have been complete blessings, Each one has given me a different level of awareness, a different level of vibration. But in this book, you get to see how you interact with the world. You know, the later chapters in my life, like when I went through IVF and I lost the first implant that they put in after more than 15 years of waiting to have a baby, and it just wasn't happening naturally for us. We did IVF and I lost that baby. And I sunk into this depression from that. Now, what was important about that event was, you know, at the time I was so angry. And I was taking that anger out on everyone. Now, this is the second depression I've had in my life. The first time was in my early 20s, and that depression was the complete opposite. I just went inside. I just shut everyone out, and I didn't want anything to do with I didn't want anyone to interact with me. I was done. So I just went completely inside myself and stopped talking to everyone. It was the complete opposite. This second depression was a lash out at the world. I was so angry and I was in so much pain because I'd lost this, this beautiful, the hope of ever becoming a mother. I was right at the end of that. I'd almost completely lost hope by then. And I was so angry because everyone else around me that had spent their whole lives telling me they weren't going to have children because they didn't like children, because they were messy and loud and all the other things they kept telling me, they all had their own babies. And I just felt like, to me, it felt so unfair, So at the time I was unforgivably rude to so many people, to all the closest people, to my sister, to my closest cousin, everybody. To everybody that I could lash out and say something cruel, I did. Whenever they tried to approach me for anything, I just didn't want anything to do with them, and I made it perfectly obviously clear, that leave me alone. I don't want to know how beautiful your life is going because mine is crap, right? That's how I felt at the time. And from this gorgeous event was that I was able to see how we hurt others when we are in pain inside. Without that event, I would not have been able to see it because I had never done that before. I would always withhold. If it was something that was going to hurt someone else, I would never say it. I would always withhold it. I just didn't have the heart to say mean things to other people. But through that event, I'd lost hope and I just didn't care anymore. I just didn't care. I didn't care. I didn't want to be here anymore. In this world, on this planet, I just didn't want to be here anymore. So I didn't care what I said or how it affected others, or I just didn't care at that time. And through that beautiful event, I was able to see firsthand, I was able to see how we hurt others when we are in so much pain. And towards the end of this book, Your Past is a Gift, that is something that you work through as well. It's looking at how you are feeling at the moment, right now in your life, and how you are interacting with your world. And it's a beautiful thing, because if you can't see it in you, if you can't see that when you're in a lot of pain, you hurt others, then you can't understand it from their point of view. You can't see that others are mean to you or hurt you because they're in pain. You need to be able to see it within yourself first. For a long time, I grew up feeling invisible, as a child after my sister was born. I was 5 when she was born. And so I felt invisible for the longest time. And I would treat others like they were invisible. I would dismiss them. I was distant and aloof and, cold. I wouldn't open up, let people in, because, that's how I felt. So that's how I treated others. So this beautiful book gives you a window into that as well. It's not just that opening, that space to be able to forgive others, but it's also looking at yourself and how you interact with the world creates that space to be able to get to a place of forgiveness. You need both. You need to be able to see it in you and then be able to see it in that person. All right, my darling. So that's what your past is a gift is all about. It's about creating a space for you to be able to forgive, understanding that how we treat others is how we feel inside. And that goes for everybody on the planet. So it's not just for you, it's not just for me, but every human being. This is how we interact with the world. How we feel inside is how we interact. All right, my darlings, I love you guys. Remember to click like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the messages. And I'll see you in the next video so we can talk about the next book and what's special about that book that might be able to help you. We'll see. All right, bye for now.